Hello, everyone. Welcome to this special post AEW Rampage edition of Real Take Sports, Real Take Wrestle Talk, whatever you want to call it. I don't even know. I don't even care. You know why? Because hell has frozen over. Yes, CM Punk has made his in-ring return, and it is for All Elite Wrestling live in Chicago at the United Center with tears in his eyes. CM Punk made his triumphant return to professional wrestling, and he is, in fact, as that graphic says, all elite. He is all in, the pun goes, and CM Punk, with tears in his eyes, he came down, kneeled before those in attendance in the United Center in Chicago, and he made his return after 7 years away from the sport, after 7 years away from the ring, but not 7 years away from wrestling. And in his own words, he told us what those years have meant. We will get to what he said in his promo. We will get to what he said in everything that he said. Before we get to any of that, though, please hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released or whenever we do a wonderful stream like this. Lucas the GOAT in the chat says, I was crying when he returned. Lucas, you weren't the only one. There were several thousands of people with tears in their eyes, including Phil Brooks, including CM Punk himself, had tears in his eyes as he made his way down the ramp into the AEW ring. And man, if this didn't give you goosebumps, if this really didn't get you, then I don't know what you're doing calling yourself a fan of pro wrestling, because this is when wrestling is at its best, when it's real, when it's emotional, when you're invested, and when you're excited about this. Just this shows you what a difference one person can do, and CM Punk is one hell of a difference maker. Maybe that CM stands for change maker Punk, but let's get to what happened. Again, he came down. We heard the little or a little variation of that, the little static that plays whenever CM Punk makes an appearance. The static played. We had Cult of Personality play right off the bat, and right there we had 15,000 plus just screaming CM Punk's name, just absolutely deafening this crowd was. This was a wonderful crowd. And then Wrestling Jesus himself, CM Punk, returned, and boy, oh boy, was this emotional. He came down, and he had this new beautiful shirt that's kind of an ode to his old WWE shirt, the Best in the World thing that he owns, by the way. He owns those trademarks. So Punk makes his way down to the ring with tears in his eyes. He jumps. First thing he does, he goes and embraces the fan, and then he jumps on top of a pile of fans on his way to the ring because he's just so excited. And the best part is, for all of the flack that CM Punk has gotten over the past, 7 years, people said, oh, he doesn't love professional wrestling. He doesn't love the fans. If you don't think that CM Punk doesn't love the fans and real fans of pro wrestling and pro wrestling itself, go over and watch this. Rewatch this or watch this for the first time because you probably didn't see it because you're a WWE mark. But watch this and you will see the love that there is on Punk's side for the fans and from the fan side for Punk. This was just amazing to see. The emotion right there is on his face. You can see him. So he comes down to the ring. He makes his appearance, and he just lets the crowd eat it up because that's what they do. Me at home, my reaction, they already said it was going to come up. The biggest announcement in AEW history was going to come up right on the top of the show. I was like, all right, cool. Yes, let's do it. Cool. It's happening. And it happened. And I still had goosebumps. I still marked out. It was still amazing. So Punk gets to the ring, and the first thing he says is, let me tell you a story. And boy, oh boy, did Punk tell one hell of a story. He talked about how he left this business. The last time he was in a ring, he left it. Not because he wanted to, not because he hated what he was doing, but because he was sick. And he was tired of being at the place that made him sick in the first place. And then CM Punk goes on to have this wonderful tale where he mentions things like Ring of Honor, where he mentioned things like his time elsewhere as well. He didn't ever name drop WWE, but man, was this special. And in the end, he said that on August 13th, 2005, CM Punk, he walked down the arena. He walked down the ramp on his last Ring of Honor show, on his final ever show in Ring of Honor, and he had tears in his eyes. And then he just realized today, on August 20th, 2021, why. And he said because it was the day he left professional wrestling. And that is a huge hint as to what he was talking about in this promo. 2005, August 13th, he left professional wrestling, his last show of Ring of Honor. And then August 20th, 2021, he says, I have come back to professional wrestling. He name-dropped people like Darby Allin. He talked about how there's an entire locker room of people who he's wanted to fight and he's wanted to wrestle for a while, and now he's getting the opportunity to wrestle young stars that he never got elsewhere. And he's going to do it. And then he called out Darby Allin. And as he's calling out Darby Allin and Sting are in the rafters of the United Center where the ghosts of Michael Jordan and the 90s Bulls lie. Up in the rafters of the arena, Darby Allin looked down menacingly at CM Punk. And Punk just looked at him and said, Darby Allin, what better place for you and me? You think you're the best in the world. What better place for you and me to fight than in Chicago, September 5th, live on pay-per-view? It will be Darby Allin versus the best in the world, Mr. CM Punk, Phil Brooks. It is going to be an insane, raucous crowd there. And he topped it off. The cherry on top of CM Punk before he left. As his music played, he stopped it, and he said, oh, by the way, for everyone here watching in this arena, ice cream bars on me. And they had CM Punk ice cream bars at the United Center. It all came full circle. Everything matters. Wrestling is amazing. This was one of the best moments in pro wrestling. People say, oh, it can't live up to the hype. It won't live up to the hype. It's not going to live up to the hype. It lived up to the hype. This was amazing. This was great. This is why people are fans of pro wrestling. So, just to put a bow on my breakdown of everything, I thought this was great. Would I have had Punk come out at the end as well to kind of keep that anticipation up for Dynamite? Sure, but they didn't end up doing that. He only came out at the beginning, and he had as much time as he wanted. He took like 30 minutes. Deservedly so, by the way. He deserved it. And he told this story. And if you have not seen the promo, if you have not seen the segment, go watch it right now. I'm sure that somebody's clipped it on YouTube. Please go watch it. It is worth the watch. It is worth everything. In fact, I'm going to go watch it right after I'm done here. This is one of the defining moments, not only in the history of All Elite Wrestling, but in the history of pro wrestling, especially in the modern era. CM Punk is back, and oh boy, is he motivated to fight. I can't wait. Lucas the Goat says, I was crying when he returned. Like I said, so was they cut to camera shots of people in the arena crying as well. You know, CM Punk had tears in his eyes. I was excited. I wasn't crying, but I was revved up. I was like more amped up. But look, that's the beauty of wrestling. It gets you emotional. That's the point. What was your reaction when he came back? My reaction was just pure ecstasy, pure like just adrenaline, and I was just ready. It got me out of my seat. I was a little jumpy. It was great. Let's see. Where is AJ Lee? Asks Lucas the Goat. AJ Lee, I believe she's backstage. She's either backstage or she's like back home because they live in Chicago. So I don't know. Maybe she wasn't there because I think his sister and everyone was there, but maybe she wasn't there because like they didn't want to ruin the surprise. He's a very recognizable person, especially compared to Punk's rest of the family. Lucas asks in the chat, Vince is punching air watching this. He's probably not watching this, and he's probably never going to watch this. That's the thing about Vince. This is a sad thing, actually, about Vince. He's probably never going to see this, and he's never going to understand why CM Punk is still over in another company, and he's not going to understand it. He's just going to be mad about it. And that's the thing, when you isolate yourself in a bubble for so long, when you isolate yourself and don't watch, don't do anything but what you're doing, and don't keep up with what your competition is doing. Because whatever anyone wants to say, AEW is never going to be like, or AEW isn't going to be like, direct competition as far as content creation and the conglomerate that WWE is. That's not what they're going to do, at least right now. But as far as a wrestling product, one is significantly better than the other, and it's not even close. It is not even close. These are two different leagues as far as presenting a pro wrestling product. AEW is the major leagues. WWE is like the XFL. That's no cap. SmackDown is a great show usually. Today's show kind of fell flat. See, John Cena was a great promo, but other than that, SmackDown was pretty crap. I'm not going to lie to you. But this is a whole different league. It's a new league, and it is unleashed on all of us. And it's only going to get better. We got All Out coming up September 5th. And then September 22nd, the big one at Arthur Ashe Stadium, Dynamite Grand Slam. And there's also a special name that's supposed to be debuting on that show. The American Dragon, maybe. Maybe the American Dragon. There's a thought that... There's also the report that Ric Flair has signed with AEW, and AEW is a promotion that doesn't let legends overstay their welcome. They don't oversaturate. The focus is never on legends. Legends are only used to get over younger guys, which is the way you want to use legends. So that's great. Man, Darby Allin, Lucas in the chat says, Darby Allin is my favorite wrestler, and I love CM Punk, so I'm excited for the pay-per-view. Darby Allin, by the way, might be Wrestler of the Year in 2021. He genuinely might be Wrestler of the Year. No one has had the consistent, on a consistent basis, no one has had good matches like Darby Allin. He was literally carrying Dynamite on his back for the first 6 months of this year. Darby Allin deserves a lot of credit because he got a lot better, a lot quicker than many people thought he would, and he is real. This kid is real, and he is ready for the moment, and you can tell it. You can tell it from this crowd. Go watch this show again. It's only an hour long. Go watch this show again. Darby Allin, CM Punk, the crowd was eating it up, and the thing is, Darby didn't even get booed. Darby didn't even get booed with the Chicago crowd when their hero, their savior, their messiah, CM Punk returned. This crowd didn't even boo Darby Allin. You know what they did? They cheered. That's how over this guy is. That's how over this match is. That's how over this segment was. That's how over this company is. God, you gotta love pro wrestling. You gotta love pro wrestling. Lucas in the chat says, today's SmackDown felt like the pre-show for AEW. It was supposed to be the pre-show for SummerSlam, basically, because SummerSlam's on a Saturday, meaning tomorrow. And yeah, so I mean, it was treated like they weren't taking it seriously. They genuinely weren't taking this seriously. I think WWE, and we don't know what the ratings are going to be. We'll find out over the next few days what the rating is going to be for AEW Rampage. But you can expect that, at least initially, this show might break 1 million. This on a Friday night at 10 p.m. in the summer, this show might break 1 million, which is big as far as TV goes. A 1-hour show might break 1 million. That's big as far as weekly episodic TV goes. And look, for all the haters out there who said this was not going to happen, you know who you are. You've been on this show. For all the haters out there who said this was not going to happen, who said the dirt sheets were wrong and everyone was wrong, take a look at this. Take a look at everything that's happened over the past just hour. I can't even believe it. It's only been an hour, and I feel like it was like a lifetime ago. That those 20 minutes or whatever CM Punk was out there felt like a lifetime, and that was amazing. Now, I'm genuinely never gonna forget this moment. It was amazing. Wish I could have been there. God, I wish I could have been there. AEW will put WWE out of business, says Lucas, the GOAT, in the chat. I don't even think that's the goal. I think the goal is just to be the put on the best wrestling product. The goal of AEW is it. This is why AEW has had so much success, right? The goal of AEW is not to be successful, right? Or not like outright be successful. Their mindset is put on the best wrestling product, put on the most excellent, excel at putting on wrestling and excel at putting on a wrestling show. And then the success will follow. And that's exactly what's happening. They are excelling. They know how to put on a wrestling show. They know how to get people hungry for their product. They know how to get people to spend money and be passionate about their product. The other company doesn't. That's just it. Big Ticket in the chat says, had a WWE fan use a Daniel Bryan emoji to celebrate CM Punk's return. I replied, he will be in AEW in another month. Give it like literally just one more month. A month and 2 days, Daniel Bryan will be all elite. You will see this picture with Daniel Bryan's face on it. I promise you. Dynamite Grand Slam is going to be a big show, but CM Punk is going to be wrestling in the ring against Darby fucking Allin. I love it. I love it. If you guys haven't already, hit that like button, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Subscribe too. I probably should have said that first, but oh my God. It is just so exciting. This has just been wonderful. CM Punk, by the way, he tweeted something out that I'm gonna put up in just a second because I believe it deserves all of our attention. So just give me a second while I pull that up. So he took a page out of Michael Jordan's book just now when he posted this, and I thought it was very, very on brand for him. Let me just pull this up real quick. Here it is. Boom. So CM Punk right here. He posted this on his Twitter, and it's an ode to Michael Jordan when he came back and he returned in '95. Chicago, Illinois. The following statement was released today by CM Punk through AEW President GM Tony Khan of All Elite Wrestling in response to questions about his future plans. I'm back, just like Jordan did. This is amazing. And again, WWE marks who refuse to watch AEW. Look at this. This official press release from CM Punk. It's happened. Get over it. It's great. Deal with it. Yeah, this is just amazing. Just amazing. I don't even know what else to say. You guys have questions in the chat. I will be more than happy to answer them, but I really don't have much else to say. We'll find out more at Dynamite because CM Punk is going to be at Dynamite. He's going to be making his first ever live Dynamite appearance in Milwaukee. Those tickets are going to go pretty freaking fast. Excuse me. But yeah, it's going to be wild. Just a wild time. It is such a wild time to be a wrestling fan. Yeah. I don't have anything else to say. I genuinely do not have anything else to say. It's just baffling to me that there are people who still won't believe it. Here we go. Lucas the Goat says, "Do you think Jungle Express or Jurassic Express will win the WWE or the AEW tag titles?" Probably. I think so. They've built this so that they would. They're the only team that I think will, because you look at the situation of the other teams, Penta, Penta and all of them. They're going to be focusing probably more on a feud with Andrade El Idolo and whatever faction he's going to bring in, and then there's going to be like if we're being honest, I love the Varsity Blondes. If they won it, I would be happy, but I don't think they're going to be in line. The story has been built up, so Jurassic Express are the ones, if anyone, to beat them. And I think I'm rooting for them. I think Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus have been for a long time underrated and underutilized, and I think this is a perfect time to utilize them. They're over. They got screwed out of the titles once at Dynamite. What better way to put them over than at All Out, the biggest show of the year? So yeah, I'm going with them. Neo Lara in the chat says, CM Punk is back in pro wrestling, not sports entertainment. This is freaking professional wrestling. And he said as much. Damn right, Lara. Damn right. CM Punk is back in pro wrestling. For those of you who didn't see it, he said in his promo, he said, "I walked down the ramp of my last Ring of Honor show on August 13th, 2005 with tears in my eyes. And I walked down And he said the reason he had tears in his eyes on August 13, 2005, in his last Ring of Honor show was because he knew he was leaving professional wrestling. And then he says, August 20th, 2021, he's finally returned to professional wrestling. What does that say about that time in between? Sports entertainment, pal. But yeah, no, this is what pro wrestling is. And look, anyone who says, oh, he's just doing it for the money or whatever, look at this. Yeah, he got paid a lot of money. He probably got paid a lot of money. You damn right he did, because he's worth every freaking penny. But look at this. Anyone who tells me that this guy doesn't love pro wrestling after seeing what they saw, this dude literally jumped. He was so excited while he was making his way to the ring. He jumped on top of fans in celebration, and they were eating it up. This is arguably the hottest crowd I've ever seen in the history of my time watching wrestling. The hottest crowd I've ever seen in my time watching wrestling. The one of the biggest reactions ever in wrestling history, and one of the biggest moments ever in wrestling history. And that is no cap. That's a real fucking take. Take it to the bank, baby. This was just an awesome show. Doesn't even matter. The matches don't even matter. I'm not gonna lie to you. AEW's a wrestling company. The matches didn't even matter. 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10, 15 stars out of 5, Dave Meltzer, this show. Amazing. Lucas the Goat 12 in the chat says, I will tell my kids about this moment someday. I will show my kids this moment someday, my non-existent kids right now. But I will show, I think any wrestling fan is going to show their kids someday this moment, because this was so special. Like, it cannot be understated how special this was. And look, like, the cherry on top, I think, was the ice cream. I love the ice cream bar thing that he did at the end. At the end of the promo, he said, oh, by the way, everyone here in the United Center, free ice cream bar on me. And he just threw the mic pipe bomb, baby. It was special. Tonight was special, and so is pro wrestling. And we will talk about this more in depth on Tuesday on Real Take Wrestle Talk with Trevor and the gang and everyone. So check that out. I've been Omer from Real Take Sports, and I'm bewildered because it's just so insane. It is just so insane. It's so exciting to be a fan of wrestling. But hit that like button, guys. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. CM Punk is back in pro wrestling.